In Monaco, sometimes a single moment of arrival is enough to define who you are. No introductions, no titles spoken out loud, no wealth explained. Monaco operates on something far more discreet. To most people, it's supercars sliding through narrow streets, gowns catching the light, champagne, and nights that never seem to end. But that's only the surface. Beneath it lies a silent language of power, one that reveals status instantly to those who know how to read it. Where the car stops, how the door opens, the rhythm of her steps as she steps out, even the pause before she moves forward. Nothing here is accidental. That's why a single appearance can say more than any biography ever could. And that leads to a question most outsiders never think to ask. Why is it that in Monaco, one car and one entrance are enough for people to know exactly which tier she belongs to? If you've ever felt there was something about Monaco you couldn't quite name, this video is for you. For those sharp enough to notice what others miss. Because when night falls, that language becomes unmistakably clear. At the Billionaire women's night gatherings. These are not parties designed to impress from the outside, but carefully curated gatherings where every presence has already been approved by reputation alone. No flashing cameras, no exaggerated laughter. Just low voices, controlled movements, and an atmosphere that feels almost too calm for the level of wealth in the room. The women here don't dress to be seen. Impeccable tailoring, rare fabrics, silhouettes that reveal nothing to the untrained eye. There's an unspoken rule everyone follows without ever acknowledging it. The richer you are, the less attention you need to demand. Status here doesn't compete, and that's why the room never turns toward the loudest voice. Eyes drift instead toward the woman who speaks the least, who listens the longest. If this feels subtle, it's meant to be, because what you're about to see next isn't spectacle, it's the deeper code behind the night gatherings of billionaire women. No one here is trying to prove how fast they can go. Ferrari, Bentley, Rolls-Royce don't scream for attention. They signal restraint, certainty, and command. Power in Monaco is never rushed. Watch closely. It's not the brand that speaks first, it's how the car arrives. The way it slows without hesitation, where it stops, how the door opens smoothly, unannounced. And then the moment she steps out, unhurried, unguarded, untouched by the need for protection. No security clears the path ahead of her. The crowd does it instinctively. Inside the car, soft blue interior lights glow quietly. Nothing aggressive, nothing performative, just enough to be felt, not noticed. This isn't luxury meant to impress. It's luxury that assumes recognition, and something subtle happens around her. Conversations lower. That's what makes it fascinating. A vehicle becomes a sentence. A pause becomes punctuation. Every detail communicates without saying a word. And once you understand this silent language, you realize the car is only the beginning. Because what truly defines power here is not the machine, but the woman who controls the room without ever raising her voice. She doesn't wait for someone to open the door. No flashes follow her arrival. No entourage clears the way. And yet everything aligns the moment she appears. In a world obsessed with being served, her decision to drive herself is a statement. Not rebellion, not simplicity. Control, direct, unquestioned control. The route bends to her choice. Not when someone else decides it's time. This is where the difference becomes unmistakable. Those who are served possess indirect power, influence filtered through others. But those who take the wheel hold absolute authority. Nothing mediates their presence. Watching this is disarming. There's something almost unsettling about how effortless it looks. No performance, just certainty, carried in posture and timing. You don't admire it from afar. You begin to understand the appeal of that composure, that freedom, and once that understanding settles in, the night itself starts to change. Because beyond this quiet control lies Monaco nightlife. At first glance, Monaco nightlife looks like chaos. Crowded streets, music spilling into the air, lights, movement. It feels loud, impulsive, almost uncontrolled. But that impression lasts only if you're watching from the outside. Look closer and a different structure reveals itself. Every night here follows an unspoken order. Who gets invited inside? Who lingers at the edges? Who moves freely and who never crosses certain doors? Nothing is random, even when it appears wild. You'll notice familiar faces appearing night after night. No introductions, no announcements. Their presence is assumed, not explained. They don't rush, they don't scan the room. And subtly, behavior adjusts around that knowledge. This isn't nightlife designed for tourists chasing excitement. It's a living system for those who control money, access, and influence. The music is loud, but the real decisions are quiet. The spectacle is visible, but the hierarchy is not. That's what makes it so fascinating. The more chaotic it looks, the more disciplined it actually is. A stage where power doesn't shout, it circulates. And once you start noticing who doesn't need to perform to belong, you arrive at the next truth. Because Monaco's most powerful women don't show off. They simply exist. The most powerful billionaire women in Monaco don't display. They arrive. No line of bodyguards. No deliberate showing of bags or jewelry. No effort to announce status. And yet attention finds them anyway. Not pulled, but drawn. There's a quiet psychology at work here. When someone doesn't need to prove anything, eyes slow down, conversations soften, curiosity replaces judgment. People don't ask who she is, they assume there must be a reason she belongs. What's fascinating is how little she does. Her presence isn't amplified by accessories or protection, it's carried in stillness, in the absence of urgency. The less she signals, the more others project meaning onto her. That projection becomes belief. This is the level of power that doesn't persuade. It allows itself to be interpreted. And interpretation, in elite spaces, is more convincing than explanation. For those watching closely, it feels almost unreal. A mix of admiration and unease. Because it forces a realization. Authority doesn't always come from what you show, but from what you withhold. And in Monaco, that withheld moment leads somewhere critical. Because sometimes, a single silence is enough to decide status. The moment she steps out of the car and doesn't rush. The moment she notices the eyes on her and chooses not to respond. These seconds pass quietly, almost invisibly. But in Monaco, they carry more weight than words, wealth, or spectacle ever could. Through the confidence to pause when everyone else feels the urge to perform. Watch closely. When she exits the car, there's no urgency to claim space. When she stops among the crowd, she doesn't scan for approval. She allows attention to arrive on its own. And when eyes linger, she offers nothing back. No smile, no signal, no defense. That absence becomes the message, because it contradicts everything we're taught about influence. We're told to speak up, to assert, to react. But Monaco operates on a different axis. In those silent seconds, the hierarchy locks into place. People decide, subconsciously, how to behave, how close to stand, how carefully to move. She hasn't demanded anything, and yet, everything adjusts. That's the cinematic truth of Monaco. Power lives in pauses, in withheld reactions. And once you recognize how much can be decided without a single gesture, another realization follows, darker, sharper, undeniable. Because if status here is defined by what you don't do, then Monaco was never built for everyone. It's a place that reveals whether you've moved beyond the need to show it at all. In Monaco, money is not the headline. Maturity is. The billionaire women here don't explain who they are. They don't narrate success or decorate themselves with proof. It's already settled. And the moment they appear, something subtle happens. Conversations soften, movement slow, space reorganizes itself without instruction. That's the final lesson Monaco offers. True power doesn't chase recognition. It creates an environment where recognition becomes inevitable. Not because it demands attention, but because it no longer needs it. This is why Monaco feels inaccessible to many. Not because of price tags or invitations, but because it requires a certain internal arrival. A stage where confidence has replaced display and control has replaced urgency. If you followed this far, you already understand. This wasn't entertainment. It was a language, and it was never meant for everyone. If this felt different from what you usually watch, that was intentional. Thank you for staying, and for noticing what isn't meant to be obvious. If this way of seeing power speaks to you, stay with us. There's more beneath the surface.